Hi, and welcome to this video. This video is the first part of two videos who are going to be about Timegraphers. And in this first video, I will show you how you set up a consumer-grade, enthusiast-level Timegrapher. I will tell you how you set it up. I will tell you how to use it with your watch. I will give you a basic understanding on how this machine works and how you can use it. In the second video, we will go more into detail. I will show you different watches who have different problems, and I will show you how these problems manifest themselves in the reading on the Timegrapher. And it will give you a pretty good understanding of what you can read from this machine in terms of the health of your own watch. So, quick question. First of all, what is a Timegrapher? It basically is a diagnostic device. It's pretty much essentially what an ECG or EKG is for a cardiologist. It monitors the heart of a watch, and you can read a lot of information from that machine because it tells you how healthy the watch is, how much energy there is, what the rate and what the precision is of the watch. All that you can read in this little device. First of all, here are some things to remember every time you want to use a watch on your Timegrapher. First of all, your watch should always be fully wound. The reason for that is you want to be able to compare it. If you put a watch on the Timegrapher that has barely enough energy to run, your reading will not be very precise and it will not be very honest. The second thing is the watch should have been running for quite some time. I would recommend that your watch, before you put it on a Timegrapher, should have been running for at least an hour, especially if the watch has been sitting and not running for a longer time. The best thing is that if the watch is fully wound, you just put it directly from your wrist on the Timegrapher. And the third thing that I will show you in a second how to do that is you have to adjust the lift angle for pretty much every single movement. You have to put that into the machine so that you can get an accurate reading, because if you don't do that, it will screw all of the readings of this watch. Nothing will be accurate. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, after you started the Timegrapher, you see it running right here. We start in the menu to set up the machine for this specific watch movement. First thing we do is to set or leave the beat rate function to auto, because it's pretty good at picking up beating rates of the movement. Then we have to adjust the lift angle. The lift angle is important because you need the correct lift angle to get an accurate reading from the machine. What we also can do is to adjust the test period. In this setting, the machine is taking a reading from the watch in intervals of 4 seconds, and you can adjust that to a longer or shorter setting. I usually have it on a shorter setting because it shows me how much instability, for example, can be in the movement. This watch has a Psycho NH35 movement, which has a lift angle of 53 degrees. And we put that into the machine, and now it automatically picks up the 21,600 vibrations per hour, and we now can get an accurate reading on it. If you put your watch on a Timegrapher, there are usually two positions that are the most commonly used to read out the watch. The most natural and the position that automatically happens when you put your watch on a Timegrapher is with the glass up. The second one is the glass facing down, because if you want to regulate your watch, you typically have the watch upside down on it to be able to work on the movement at the same time. In addition to these two positions, there are a number of other positions that are used to get different circumstances. These positions are typically glass up. Then we have a sort of upright position with the crown on the right side. This is also where the two pinions of the balance wheel are both resting in the jewel. So this is where you will have the most friction, which will definitely have an impact on the watch's performance. The next position is pretty much the other way around. Repositions the escapement in a different way, so it might give you a different reading. Next is the position that we already talked about, which is glass down, which has the balance wheel rest on its upper pinion. And then we have a side position where the crown is facing down, which also makes the balance wheel pinion rest in its two bearings, but in a different position to the escapement. So this also might give you a different reading. And then finally, we are back at glass facing up, which now makes the balance pinion rest on its lower jewel bearing. Next thing I will explain to you are all of the numbers and all of the values that you can see on the upper side of the screen. First of all is the rate of the watch. At the moment, the watch is running at plus 5 seconds a day. The second thing, which in this case, 260 degrees, this is the amplitude of the balance wheel. And this basically tells you how much energy reaches the escapement of your watch. Especially if you have a watch that has nearly no power in it, the amplitude will be very low, and the more winding you put into the watch, the more energy you put into the watch, the higher the amplitude will go. A healthy amplitude, depending on the position of the watch, is somewhere in between 250 and 300 degrees. It depends a little bit on the movement. If you have a fully wound watch and it's only doing an amplitude of 150, that is typically too low, and this will indicate some form of problem. The next thing we see is the 0.8 milliseconds of beat error. Beat error basically is, if we simplify it a lot, is the difference between the tick and the tuck. And what you want in the movement is as much symmetry as you can possibly get, because that will give you rate stability and that will make for a more accurate watch. So beat error should be 0.0. That is the best reading. You cannot get it better than 0.0. And then in between each direction, you get a different reading. So it's 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. The beat error does not indicate on which side of the balance the beat error actually occurs. You have to find that out by trial and error, but basically it's pretty straightforward. And if you can regulate the beat error on your watch movement, you can just increase it or decrease it and find out. Sometimes if you have the beat error at 0.0 in a specific position and you change the position of the movement on the Timegrapher, the beat error will increase again. Typically a reading of 0.2, 0.3 is acceptable for a relatively inexpensive movement like a Seiko or a Miyota movement. The last thing that we see on the right is the amplitude of the watch, which the machine automatically picks up. In this case, it's 21,600 vibrations per hour. And the second reading that changes is the lift angle that you manually put into the watch. And here you can see a pretty good example of what probably the best case can look like. A continuous line that almost follows a flat trajectory from one end to the screen to the other. There are small little deviations, but that's totally fine. You can see that the beat error is 0.0 or 0.1 depending on the position, and you also see that the rate of the watch is -1 second to 0 second. The amplitude is also okay at 220. It's a little bit low, but I know that the watch is not fully wound. And the lift angle is correctly set at 51 degrees, and the watch works at 28,800 vibrations per hour. This is basically all you need to know. This is a healthy picture. And also, for everyone who has seen the video about the precision of my Baltic Aquascuff, it shows you that if you regulate the watch, it keeps very, very good time. So to all the haters out there, this watch is actually pretty good. Okay, that's it for the first part of this video. In the next video, we will go into more details and I will show you how certain problems that occur in watches look or manifested themselves on the Timegrapher. You now know what a Timegrapher does and what it is capable of showing you. If you want to see the second video, if you want to go into more detail, stick around and subscribe to my channel. The second part of this video is coming out next week, so make sure to watch that. And I hope you like this video, and I see you next Sunday.